Hi, I'm Chester Stix.
And I'm Ronnie Schulz.
Welcome to the special report on this recent presidential election. What a month it's been, Ronnie.
Wow, yes, indeed, Chester. The turmoil of these past weeks is over, leaving George W. Bush as president-elect.
We are here to bring you a recap of some of the factors that came into play during the past month's controversy.
One of the main sources of complaint was with the ballots used in Florida. There was much debate over the legitimacy of the methods used, based on the fact that often the punch card ballots were difficult to read and even more difficult to process.
On the punch card ballots, lots of punch-outs weren't processed properly based on there being either dimpled or hanging chads.
Now, for a lot of you, this is probably the first time you've heard the word chads used in this context. Well, just to clarify, when you hole punch a piece of paper, the discarded paper is the chad. When it comes to punch card ballots, dimpled chads and hanging chads were the result of unsuccessful punches. On a dimpled chad, the chad was never fully removed, leaving only an indent where the voter attempted to punch the card. A hanging chad is caused when the chad is not fully detached from the card itself.
How confusing this must have been.
Indeed. The machines often did not count hanging or dimpled chads, so many votes were not included in the machine count.
That's why many Democrats were insistent on a hand recount. A person would be able to count the hanging and dimpled chads of the votes, where a machine would not. However, even in a hand recount, there was debate over whether or not they should be counted as votes.
One problem brought up by those calling for hanging and dimpled chads to be counted was the fact that hanging and dimpled chads were caused mainly by older, more broken-down machines, and low-income areas tended to have lower quality punch card machines. The problem is that polls indicate that lower income areas would tend to vote for Gore, which would have left Gore with lots more hanging and dimpled chad votes than Bush received. Democrats, for this reason, pushed heavily for hanging and dimpled chads to be counted.
One other problem speculated on is Florida's voter cleansing program. Secretary of State Katherine Harris, one of the leaders of Bush's Florida campaign efforts, initiated a series of felon disenfranchisement laws which barred felons and ex-felons from voting for life.
In 1998, the Florida Department of Elections, under Harris's direction, embarked on a mission to compile a list of anyone who conceivably might have been a former felon. Anyone on the list would have been scrubbed from the voter rolls.
The problem with that law is that under order from Harris's office, the database compiler provided matches of anyone with a close name. John Jackson was a black man who served time in Texas and had the same birth date as a black man named Johnny Jackson in Florida. Though Johnny Jackson Jr. had no criminal record, he was scrubbed from the registration rolls.
Database Technologies, Inc., or DBT, the company charged with the task of compiling the list, used lists of former felons that included names and birth dates and race, but had a much lower specification rate on names.
Under orders from Harris's office, DBT lowered the name match criterion to 85%. In the end, DBT generated a list of over 82,000 voters to purge from the registration rolls.
With the success rate of their program, DBT wrongly and illegally scrubbed over 10,000 voters, mostly minority, poor, and Democratic Floridians, from registration rolls. That number was more than 20 times Bush's margin of victory in the state. Without the laws, the election could have easily gone the other way.
In addition, officials in Leon County tried to verify 694 names on the Tallahassee list and found only 34 to be matches, a 5% match rate instead of the promised 85%.
Wow, how sad, yet how true and how universal. Thanks for sticking with us, folks. It's been a busy election. Back to you, Chester.
This is Chester Stix signing off and wishing you a pleasant evening.
It's been a long run with Ronnie Schulz and Chester Stix. You've just seen two of their most famous news broadcasts. It's been a long run since their Berlin Wall days, and we hope these segments have highlighted some of the maturation of their styles. From all of us here at the news station, we'd like to take a moment to wish them the best of luck in their retirement. You can show your support for Ronnie and Chester by liking their Facebook pages. Thank you, and good night.